Hello and welcome to the Apex Racing League GT Championship live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, and alongside me for tonight's action is Adam Hedgecock with Sam Kumo on the cameras. And Adam, we're back for another series. You took part in the American GT Championship as well, and I believe the British GT Championship. It's a decent format. This couple of races we've got in store to start off this all GTE championship.
Yeah, slight change from the GT3s last time out, but exciting times. These are fun races. The short sprint at the beginning, followed by a more of an endurance type 40-minute one afterwards. It's stacking up to be a great evening. And it's great to be back watching another GT League.
Absolutely. So 10-minute qualifying. The drivers are currently involved. I haven't even mentioned, because it's Watkins Glen today, a favourite amongst lots of drivers. I believe might be the most owned road circuit in all of iRacing, using the boots layout today, not the classic boots, as you can see. Aaron Powell having to negotiate that tricky chicane before the carousel, and should be a pretty good place for round one of the championship. Of course, 10-minute qualifying we're currently in, then we'll have 25-minute first race, and as Adam was saying, a 40-minute second race coming up. I mean, Watkins Glen, like I said, very popular circuit, Adam. It's just a really good race track. It's very as well, just putting in laps, and it's a track that all these guys will be very familiar with in a variety of cars.
I have to agree. I know we spoke about this the other day, that this is actually my second favourite track on the service. Love racing here. It lends close racing because there's so much draft here. Even if you're not quite on the pace, like a season opener, you're not quite up to speed, you've still got a chance of getting a result. If you can stick in the toe for the cars in front, you're always in with a shout.
Absolutely, and these guys will be hoping for that today. Remember, two classes. We've got the pro drivers, and then we've got the AM drivers. So all the pro drivers have got 2,400 iRating plus. All the AM drivers have got less than that. So it should be a nice divide for these guys, and just judging by the practice times, I think it's pretty evenly matched between or it's pretty well divided, at least. The times though were very quick, and it's hard to pick out a championship winner out of these guys. Still about 4 minutes left in qualifying. They have 4 laps which they can put in. A couple of them will be in laps and out laps, of course. Currently watching John Gordon negotiate this boot section of the circuit, going through the toe at this point. Jawad Karoni currently on pole position, with Cyanja in second place. John Gordon top of the AM drivers at the moment for Gold Racing Team. Great to see them back in this Apex Racing League GT Championship. I've got about 30 cars out here today, so it should be a very competitive field.
Always great to see cars coming back onto the main section of the track here. How brave can you be going into the last 2 corners? I always find that if you carry too much speed going through that first left-hander, it really unsettles you getting into the braking zone for the last corner. And of course, you do that, you lose out all the way down this main straight.
Absolutely, that final corner is kind of one of the few corners where you got limited by the wall. Other places the walls are very close, but you kind of got a little bit of grass just on the outside as well. This final corner that Powell's trying to negotiate at the moment. Of course, I think he won. No, it was Bob Humphrey, apologies, who won one of the rounds at Daytona. Anyone who saw that round knows how pretty thrilling it was, with the championship in the GT3 title going right down to the final straights, the final few corners. Hopefully we'll see a similarly close championship here. But like I said, Jawad Karoni currently on pole position. Taj Edwards just popping himself up into 5th position as we speak. And a few purple times being set by Jazz. Edwards actually one of the Jazz who set fastest second sector time. Karoni, I believe, back in the pits at the moment. Still time for these guys to improve. Any areas you'd say on this qualifying lap where you could really make or break your lap? You've already said the final couple of corners are very important, but anywhere else where perhaps on qualifying compared to the race you can just push it that little bit harder to gain a couple of tenths?
I think turn 1 is the big one here. How far wide do you go? iRacing are very lenient with their off-track system on that corner. Push it too wide and you're cutting off some time, trying to cut back onto the track. don't carry enough speed, you lose it all the way up through the S's and down to the bus stop.
Yeah,
see there, Luriero taking quite a steady line through there, but yeah, if you get it right, you can carry the speed all the way up the hill here, all the way to the bus stop, and that's a whole chunk of time you don't want to be losing.
Definitely, and of course it's not quite as much time as sometimes we lose, because of course we are running the bus stop. It can be tricky for these guys to really race side by side. These GTE cars carry so much speed through this section of corners. It's almost like a fast section of corners, despite the fact that it's so narrow and so tight through there, but you can take a lot of the curb. Nick Rowland also going very wide, having to go to the middle of the circuit to get back on. Of course, we have seen some quite big crashes around this place on the opening lap of races. Tom Gordon has a pretty big crash for himself. That will be the end of his qualifying session. But yeah, that first few corners very narrow with the walls very close. Hopefully we don't see a pile. I don't know if you recall, Adam, the World GT meeting here where we saw some calamities, where several great memes were born.
I was actually part of that when Thomas the Tank came trundling through the middle of us. I was also here in the ARL TCR. 2 races in a row we had big incidents in the S's. The trouble is, as you say, there's just no room there. If someone goes a little bit wide, you try easing off, you've got people carrying more speed coming in behind you. It gets very packed very quickly, and like you say, let's hope we don't see any of that this evening.
Definitely. Great to see some fan clubs already out here. Often get a lot of, whenever there's Brazilian drivers or South American drivers, always get a lot of support. So thanks for those guys for cheering along Paulo Prieto. Hopefully he's going to have a very good round to start off this season. And qualifying is complete. The first important results of the season. No points, to be fair. It all comes down to the races. Both races worth the same amount of points. Will be a rolling start, of course. So we've got the full formation lap. I was commentating on the Sim Racers World Endurance Championship earlier on, and that was at Road America. And I think that's the only longer formation lap than we have here at Watkins Glen. So we've got plenty of time. Jawad Karoni on his debut in this series on pole position, a couple of tenths of a second ahead of Cyanja. Enric Andre in 3rd place. That's not bad top 3 positions, safe to say. Pal starts in 4th. Then it's Taj Edwards, great qualifying for him, former Porsche driver, of course, in the British GT in 5th. Nick Rowland in 6th. Then it's Tiago Loureiro in 7th. All those guys very close. Also Tom McMahon, British GT champion, and of course came 2nd place in the GTE category last season, so certainly watch out for him. Then it was Damien Harris, Stephen Brumfield, Jeffrey Garzotto, Dennis Eipenberg, Paul Smith, and then John Gordon. John Gordon, the top of the amateur drivers, but only 1 second off pole. Really does show how quick these amateur drivers are. Then it's Paulo Prieto, James Salt in 16th place. That's Kev Copland, Tom Stevens, Derek Holland, Kevin Kittelman, Jonathan Kearns, Joe Saul, Bob Humphrey, Jesse Payne Wilkins, John Chessida, Christoph Adriano, and Russ Davis and Rob Winter in 28th place. I believe Brandon Warren will take the start. Yeah, he is. Kevin Boland, I think, having some issues getting back into the race. So I don't think he's going to take the start, which will mean we'll have 29 cars for this first race of the season. And we've got the Mustang pace car, which I will make a special effort to have at each round of the championship, because it is the best pace car, of course, as we are about to pull away from the grid. Just looking at the grid, there's a few drivers who are really overperforming, I'd say. I'm no offense to these guys whatsoever, but I mean, Aaron Powell for Evo SR are really doing a brilliant job up in 4th place, beating his more experienced teammates, James Saltz and Tom McMahon. And then we've also got Taj Edwards doing very well in 5th place on the grid. Damien Harris doing a great job. And then we've got some drivers who are a little bit further down, James Saltz and Tom Stevens, also Bob Humphrey as well. So I think there could be quite a lot of movement in this race. I don't think we're going to finish this race as we start it.
I think with a track like this, it's very momentum based. So, if you get a good run in a couple of the corners, you can make up quite a lot of time. So, is it surprising we've got a little bit of a mixed bag? Not entirely. Make a small mistake and it will cost you a lot of time. But it certainly spices it up going into the first few corners, doesn't it? how brave do these drivers want to be with some people that perhaps they haven't raced with before, or are not too familiar with their style? Yeah, it's certainly exciting, and we love starts like this, don't we? Where it's a little bit mixed, a little bit unpredictable. Yeah, it should be fun.
Definitely, and you can see that very formidable front row of the grid. Satellite Racing, 1, 2, 3. I don't know how familiar you are with these guys. I'm not sure how much official racing you do, but Jawad Karoni, Anja, Enric Andre, all mega competitive. Particularly Andre, I think, a world championship driver, I think. And also, I mean, Karoni and Anja, two of the best GT drivers in the world. I mean, it's fantastic to have them in the series, but even then, they're not that much clear of the rest of the field. So they can battle one another, but they can't afford to be complacent. They are still going to be given a decent challenge from the other drivers.
I have to admit, I don't do a lot of GT type racing. I mainly focus in the realms of TCR, slow and steady. So some of these names are totally new to me. But interesting, say they will battle each other. Will they, or will they try and break away and try to sort it out later on in the race? That's another possibility as well. How much do they want to get one over on their teammate?
Definitely, yeah, it's a good point. I mean, how much are we going to see that interaction? We've seen a few occasions on Apex Racing TV in recent weeks where teammates have taken one another out. Anyone who have been involved in those collisions will definitely know who I'm talking about, but hopefully they're not listening along. And then at the top of the amateur standings, I mean, John Gordon, new driver to the series, Paolo Prieto as well, in second place in the amateur. They could be pretty good, but I mean, a few drivers that you've raced against as well in last season, Copeland and Stevens just behind. Maybe that experience from those guys could be quite important.
Well, yeah, they're familiar with the format. They know what the deal is. How cautious they need to be in the first race maybe, and play the long game in the second one. So yeah, high hopes for those guys. They were cracking last season. So yeah, hopefully they do well again this season.
Absolutely. So Jawad Karoni then from the pole position for round 1 of this Apex Racing League GT Championship. The Mustang is about to pull into the pits, and Karoni is going to have control of the field. When will he decide to floor it? 25 minutes of racing is about to get underway. Green flag is out. Oh, and straight away there's a collision between Edwards, I think, and one of the drivers in the top 3, and already a couple of big off-tracks for drivers.
That's unfortunate. That is very, very unfortunate. There's nowhere to go. We said about the walls. It's such a shame for so many drivers there. I've lost count of the number involved in it, but it's most of the AMs by the look of it.
Yeah, it really caught out a lot of drivers towards the rear of the field. Just thinking if there's going to need to be a safety car involved in this start, so whether we're going to be able to get away. Already lots of drivers back to the pits, and it has kind of sorted itself out by now. But of course, if they do get a faster pair in this series, they'll take back, and it seems as though they haven't actually crossed the start-finish line yet. So I imagine the tow time isn't going to be too long, and they're going to be able to get back out on circuit straight away. But that is a massive shame for those guys. Still Karoni leading the way, though. Andre getting past Anja, importantly. Powell still in 4th place, and then Lorero gaining a couple of places. Great start for Saul and Humphrey, and Eipenberg gaining 13 places have Saul and Humphrey.
Yeah, we can see the calamity that happened there. The AMs, up to 9th overall on the road. That's good going already. But this group out front for the pros, they're going to be pulling away now. They're going to try and dictate their pace and hope that everything's all cleared up by the time they get round to the start-finish line.
Yeah, just seeing a few drivers now coming out of the pits. So James Salt has just come out of the pits. Paolo Prieto as well. Still got Edwards, Gordon, and Kittelman and Kearns. The reason why they've been able to get back out so quick is because they have basically had to start from the pits, if you will. So I don't think the tow time was too big for them. Karoni being kept very honest out in the lead under big pressure from Enric Andre. And very much still within the slipstream range, and Powell as well looking. So he could maybe upset this 1, 2, 3 position. Humphrey and Harris also coming into the pits for some repairs. Managed to get the car back. but not in a good enough state. So, yeah, it's just Evo SR and Satellite Racing currently going at it. Looks very nice on the broadcasting, all these liveries, and maybe could be a feature for the rest of the season. Nick Rowland in 7th place in the other Satellite Racing machine, and then of course the top of the Amjaz is Joe Saul, but big gaps pretty much behind everyone, behind the top battle.
I can tell you from experience that the most heart-sinking thing when you come and race here is when you lose a toe from the cars in front. It's you need to stick in that toe. So this front six, they're going to be laughing right now. They've got a nice big gap behind them. It's two lots of two teams. They can decide how they want to race it, how they want to dictate it, who's going to be leading the charge. The satellite guys behind, they might be also in front. They're going to decide who's got the most pace, who can pull them forward. And the Evo SR guys behind, who's going to lead that charge? If someone messes up a couple of corners, are they going to switch it round? Are they going to keep in the toe, which is so crucial to them?
Yeah, will be very tricky for these guys to decide. Joe Saul, then top of the Amateur Jazz 269 car. All the drivers, by the way, with a 1 before their number. At the front of their number, they are the pros, and then everyone with a 2 are the AMs. So it makes a bit of sense. Apologies for Nick Rowland. He has got a 1 in front of his number, but he's only got 2 digits. So that one's slightly wrong. He is a pro driver. Most importantly, though, is Rowland. As the top 6 continue to pull away. Rowland under a bit of pressure from Garzoso. And here is Warren, who's up 20 places as well, and didn't set a qualifying time. You wouldn't guess it, because he is ahead of Dennis Eichenberg, only by 1/4 of a second. Eichenberg not being able to do too much into the chicane, and this straight is significantly shortened by this chicane. Really does limit your overtaking possibilities. It's remarkable how close all the teammates are at the moment. I mean, not only have we got all the Evo SR drivers and all the Satellite drivers together, we've also got the 2 Gold Racing drivers together.
Yeah, you say it's a little bit tricky to overtake. I find with the GT cars, when I have raced here, if you don't get the bus stop right, you can really compromise your entry into the carousel. I don't know whether it's just me being a bad driver, but I've been overtaken a few times by not getting a good exit from the bus stop, and someone will throw it up your inside on the carousel. So yeah, you have to be pretty vigilant, but it's limited a bit, but it's not impossible to pass on that straight.
Yeah, definitely. Tom Stevens also getting quite close right now to Christoph Adriano. This is a better battle, isn't it? I think some of these guys are lapped down, so not everyone is in this fight. So I'm sure the battle box is telling you who is in this fight, and a few drivers who aren't. By the way, the drivers who didn't exit the pit. Kevin Boland, is he out there? Because I don't think he took the start, did Boland? But he's in the pit. I'm looking at it as though he's completed 1 lap, but I'm not quite sure. Here it's side by side for the lead then. Andre, who started in 3rd position, moves up into the lead, gets past his teammate Caroni. And that was a nice move. I'm certainly proving myself wrong about difficult to overtake. He's made it within a few laps, lap 4 of this event. And that was just the outside line. It can be tricky to overtake there, because if you got the more of the momentum, especially if your teammates, I think Caroni wasn't willing to keep his nose in there out of fear that they were going to make contact.
I tell you what, I bet on their team comms right now there is a serious discussion about throwing one up the inside of the bus stop. That's not what you want to be doing on your teammates. They got away with it, but that's a brave move on your teammate.
Definitely. 6/10 of a second behind his Caroni. He needs to make sure that he gets through these next 3 corners all right, going onto the pit straight, where he can then drag himself back up in the toe, and actually has a pretty good 3rd final corner, so should be able to be in within that draft. On that last lap, Tom McMahon with the fastest lap, and they do they get a fast? I should know if they get a point for fast lap. They don't get a point for fast lap, of course they don't. However, they do get penalty points. So if you get, for every 10 instants you get a penalty point. As Rob Winter, that's a shame. He was up in 12th place, up 16 places. And that's a difficult rejoin for him. And he's not going to get the bonus point anymore. So if you get 0 instants, you get 1 bonus point. as long as you finish the race, obviously. And then for every 10 instants you get 3 penalty points. And just for some idea, you get 40 points for a race win. So you don't want to pick up too many of those instants. And a few drivers who are involved in that first lap carnage will get might well be on course for some 10 instants. Kev Copeland into the pits. I guess that damage is just too much for Copeland to deal with.
Just seeing that winter incident. The tyre marks on the track look like he dropped it coming down the hill, which is so easily done. The right-hander as you're coming out of the boot and then back onto the main track on the left-hander. So easy to get the rear end light. Yeah, it looks like he just carried a bit too much speed, and fortunately didn't make contact with everyone else, and he's on his way again, which is always good to see. Hopefully he can pick up some pieces from other people's mistakes now and try and claw some points back.
Oh, Caroni. Oh, no. From the lead earlier on in the race, then dropped down to second place, and now he's dropped a whole lot further down. Even his teammates is getting past him, and one of the gold racing drivers. Caroni from second place down to 8th now. This is how it happened.
We see him coming down to that same corner again, the right-hander. Is there any contact? No, he's a little bit unaware on the brakes there. I think his teammate in front of him just broke that little bit harder. Andre broke that little bit harder and took Caroni off guard.
And that was such a shame. That was the fear of hitting your teammate, wasn't it? That he did absolutely everything to avoid his teammate, and it thoroughly compromised him in the end. So it's he's going to do well to get too many places back up from that. Will Caroni? Tricky opening race for him after such a promising qualifying session.
You can tell the standard of driver there, though. Myself within the boosted team, we probably hit each other at that point. So fair play to him for being aware, identifying there was an issue and turning it to the outside of the track to avoid him.
So the top 4 are still close. It seems as though, Andre nearly managed to break the draft, actually, got up to 8/10, but just about closing in did Anja, so he's back down to half a second, and these Evo SR guys are staying with them. And McMahon, who wasn't particularly impressive in qualifying, only qualified in 8th. He's looking like one of the fastest guys here, Aaron Powell, really backing up that great qualifying performance in 3rd position. Loreiro has got detached, but still could be close between this pair. So one of each team has dropped out now, and it's up for the others to fight it out at the moment. Of course, elsewhere, Garzotte already under pressure from Caroni for 7th place. I think Caroni will make this one sooner rather than later. Garzotte probably won't put up too much of a fight, and then he'll be onto his teammates again, Will Caroni of Nick Rowland. So could get a 6th place, and of course the race is extended by 5 minutes this first race, due to the fact that the break between the sessions won't be quite as long. We decided to extend it by 5 minutes, and so that 5 minutes will be very grateful, I imagine, for the 113 car.
Jeffrey Garzotto here, probably just hoping that Caroni gets past him clean and without causing him too much or costing him too much time. We saw Jeffrey yesterday in the Winter VLN. He was having a torrid time on the Green Hell, so I'm guessing he's just hoping for a smoother sail this time out, as we see Caroni going up the inside at the bus stop. Yeah, easy as you like, straight through. Garzotto saw that one coming and just gave him the room.
Yep, easy enough. That's overtake. Caroni up into 7th place. Bob Humphrey, who was, I think, involved in that collision. Yeah, of course, he had to pit, actually, on lap 1, did Humphrey. Now up into 18th place. Up 5 places from his start, just getting past Russ Davis. Further up, he's got Chester and Jesse Payne-Wilkins and Holland as well. All drivers he might be in touch with. He just did a 43.6 on that last lap. The guys ahead in the high 44s, low 45, so he should catch. And of course, if you want to check out the lap times from all these drivers and the intervals between each of the drivers, do check out the live timing provided in the description, provided by SDK Gaming, of course. And you can see all the instants, no pit stops today, so that information is irrelevant. But you can see all the how far Each driver has gone in this race. The gaps between each of the drivers, their last lap time, their best lap time, their numbers, everything that you can want. Their position gain as well, which is very useful for these guys. Yeah, certainly do get that. Has Warren just moved ahead of Saul? Saul with a big issue from the lead of the amateur drivers, and Joe Saul has dropped it. It seems like he was by himself because I don't think he was too near any other drivers, and now he's going to be under big pressure from a couple of other guys. Does he come into the pits, Saul? Yes, he does. And Tom Stevens into the pits as well. So Brandon Warren now leads the amateur standings.
Out of nowhere. I don't know if there's any contact here. Oh, he's just got a bit of wheel spin. Oh, so unfortunate from Sol there. A little bit of pressure on him from behind, and yeah, he just couldn't keep the car from over-rotating. Oh, that was not the nicest bit of reversing, but he got away with it.
Yes. Any drivers, by the way, watching this back, if you feel a bit aggrieved by a driver, do submit the protest form, of course. It's not the most fun, to be honest, to do that, but it is a necessary evil to improve the driving standards. Hopefully, I think there will be a few of them submitted after that first lap wreck, which maybe we'll get a replay of after this race is complete. By the way, Nick Rowland's first driver to get to 10 instants, so that will be a penalty point for him. Only driver with 0 instants is Brandon Warren. I mean, he is winning at life right now with Brandon Warren. Started last, remember. Didn't set a qualifying time, so started in 29th place. And he's up into the top 10, and he's leading the amateur standings. Absolutely incredible, and he's leading it by a big margin, 11 seconds ahead of Christoph Adriano. Isn't lapping incredibly fast in the 44s, currently several drivers behind him are lapping faster, but it's enough for the 222 car at the moment. And you can see not pushing it too hard through the final corner. Still got, though, about 9 minutes to go in this race to survive. So even more than that, 11 minutes to go in this race to survive. So still plenty of opportunities for mistakes.
Oh, agreed. Warren's doing a sterling job. You see him nice and steady, not taking any risks. And as you say, he's come from the back. It's like all his Christmases and birthdays and Easter bunnies have all come at once. He's just kept it clean and just cruised to the front.
Pretty much everyone's still running in this race. So Kevin Boland didn't start. Taj Edwards is in the pit, so he may have had to pull out. Of course, he was doing really well, though. No, so he was involved in that first crash, yeah. He was, I think, one of the first drivers involved, in fact, was Edwards. That seemed to be the initial contact. I saw that's a gold racing livery. But he's the only retiree so far in this race. Of course, we do have a reverse grid coming up for race 2. And if you are on the lead lap after this race 1, you will be eligible for that race 2 reverse grid. So it is really important that the options, I think, are like 14, 15, 16, and then you've got a full, and then a -4, -5, -6. So you could be very lucky if we do have a full reverse grid and you're the last driver on the lead lap. You could be in for a pole position for race 2. That's certainly what Paolo Prieto will be hoping for, because he is the last driver on the lead lap in 25th place. There's still plenty of drivers, even those who are involved in that first lap shunt, are still eligible for that. Payne Wilkins, it has been caught by Humphrey. Oh, we've got a change for the leads. Apologies, there was a little bit of flickering there. Oh, wow, there is a lot of changing. And Syanja just about staying ahead of Aaron Powell. But EVOSR all of a sudden launching an attack on the two leaders.
I'm not sure what the satellite guys are up to at the moment. They're going side by side through the bus stop again. The EVOSR with Powell and McMahon must be licking their lips right now. Seeing the front two battle like that. It's so easy to drop a wheel on the grass, and before you know it, you're out of contention. So, yeah, the EVOSR guys doing a sterling job. Powell, McMahon, as we said earlier, wasn't particularly great in the quali, but he's there. He's stuck to the back of his teammate, and yeah, in with a shout. 9 minutes to go, and they're still there. Like I said at the start, if you're in contention coming into the last couple of corners, if you can stay in that draft, you've always got a chance. And seeing the way that Andre and Andra are driving, there's a big chance of an Evo result here.
Also flicking in and out is Cyanja. So some connection issues for him. I'm sure his teammate will not be best pleased with that. We've got two really good battles going on. So we've got two battles of, well, this one's got 4 drivers, and then we've got another one. John Jessida, I think, has just had a little bit of an off around the final boot section. He's just dropped that position to Jesse Payne Wilkins. He moves up a place. Bob Humphrey's got past the pair of them recently, and he's now on the tail of Dirk Holland and Christoph Adriane. This time, Anja doesn't fancy going for the move. It's so easy to pick up a slowdown, and it's one of those curves where you've got to, or it's one of those corners where you've got to absolutely nail the setup. You've got to nail the shocks, because you can make it so that the car just floats over that chicane, or you can make it that it's absolutely undrivable and you're spinning off every single lap. So I'm sure a bit of setup work has had to go into this. Of course, this on the IMSA schedule on iRacing, so should be a bit of experience, especially for these top guys, for the satellite racing drivers, who I think are quite active on that. Cyanja's still dipping in and out.
Yeah, it seems to be getting progressively worse as well, and that's unsettling for Andre out in front and for Powell behind him. It's nothing worse than trying to get close to a car that's blinking around like that. You never quite know where they are. You're not sure if you should be making a move, where they're going to be when they come in through this. Adriano's had issues now.
He's just let past 3 cars, and now a 4. He wasn't lapping particularly fast. I think Adriano, to be fair, has got the right thinking. He's playing it safe, because he was ahead of all those guys and he just let them go. I think he was ahead going into the chicane. One of them tried to get past, and he was like, yeah, I'm probably going to make contacts with these other guys, so I'm going to stay nicely out of the way. Has got some damage. That's the 207 car, but he's gone from 2nd in class back down to 4th, which isn't too bad. Just a 5th, sorry. Just a reminder, of course, that there's everyone scores the same amount of points. It's all the same point system. Also, but so between the 2 leaders, this is as close as Andrew has got. Goes down the inside, still blinking. And he disappeared when he was going side by side. And that was very fortunate for those 2 guys. I mean, honestly, I think normally race. But with the way that Andrew is blinking in and out, he could have appeared anywhere there. It could have been disastrous for the team.
So close to a quarter panel. We saw it as they were entering the bus stop. So close, and with, as you say, with the blinking, you never quite know. I'm surprised they got away with it. They really are dicing with the results here, aren't they? They're dicing with death. If I was in there with them right now, I'd be telling them to just calm down. Take your time. You've got this. As Adriano now comes into the pits to get some repairs.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that one, and he's been stationary for a while, so. Oh no, he has got back going. 8 seconds, so he should still be on the lead lap. So he'll be hoping for a full reverse grid coming up. The Caroni getting past Roland, or trying to.
Ross Davis bailing on the bus stop there. Wonder if he's playing the same the same kind of method as Adriano. Just bring it home. Have a go at that reverse grid and go again for race 2. That is the benefit, of course, of having these reverse grids. If things don't pan out in the first race, you can dust yourself down, play for a good reverse, and away we go. As they're battling for the lead again, side by side, coming through the S's. Andre and Andra.
He's going to have the advantage here. Andra has been leading on the most part, but Andre might have the better line. It's 2 by 2 going into the bus stop. And they get through it. Anja stays ahead. Andre stays ahead. Anja in 2nd place. And then Powell and McMahon stay in 3rd and 4th. But the Evo SR guys must be thinking, how are these guys still ahead of us? How have they not made a mistake?
I held my breath there. And I think you did too. The pause as they were coming through there. Why they're doing it like this, I do not know, but it sure is entertaining. I just pray for all of them that they don't make a mistake going through there, because that'd be catastrophic for all 4 of them, I feel.
They've got a whole season of this. I mean, they've survived 20 minutes, and I'm surprised by that, to be honest. It's incredible that they've done this well so far, not to make any mistakes. And we've not got far to go in this race. We've got 2 more laps to go. Yeah, 2 more laps. That really wasn't difficult maths. I don't know why I made a big deal out of that. 2 more laps to go for these guys.
Powell pulling off into the pits. Oh, that's a lock up there. Not sure why he's pulled in. He had no damage. And Luriero behind him, both from the same team. I wonder if they were running a little bit light on fuel.
Maybe they thought it was 20 minutes long. I will just clarify in the rules, it does say 25 minutes, so there should be no surprises. But maybe he did have to just put in a little bit extra fuel, because, I mean, he's not even close, and that was fortunate that he's still in the race. So Powell has come back out in 7th place, I believe. And off the circuit is Anja. And that's going to be a slowdown. Surely he's going to lose the place to McMahon, who's racing round. Round the outside goes Tom McMahon, British GT champion, and he's ahead. So it was inevitable that the 1-2 wasn't going to be the case. I mean, if anything, now the race wins a bit more secure. But McMahon, 1.4 seconds to catch. He's got 1.5 laps to do it if he's got enough fuel.
Of all the times that we've watched him go through their side-by-side close quarter racing, it was a solo mistake when he was on his own from Andra there. But he done the right thing. He parked it on the apex of the carousel, made McMahon go around the outside. You know, limited the amount of time he lost. And yeah, I'm guessing from now until the end of the race, he'll be right on the bumper of McMahon, trying to pressure him into a mistake.
Yeah,
Just going back to the Evo SR pit stops, 2 of them came in. So I'm wondering if it was a team call. You know, 2 of them said, "Oh, we can do it on you know, whatever the fuel limit is that they decided to go with," and 2 of them got caught out.
McMahon has stayed out, so he's all right. The 126 car. So ironically, I mean, he was, I think, something like 3rd or 4th on the grid out those guys. Oh, Garzotto has been involved in something. He's in 7th place and it's just been overtaken by Powell. I wonder if maybe that's just damage from way earlier on in the race. Could certainly be the oh no, that is a mistake from Garzotto. So here he is. He was well on course for a comfortable 6th. But the Gold Racing driver just running wide, dipping a wheel onto the grass. And, well, of course, this is the old tyre model. So the grass isn't as slippery as it will be when the new tyres are released. They were slippery enough there, spinning into the wall, and that was a little bit dangerous as well from Garzotto in absolute desperation to keep the Evo SR car behind him. And Powell was on his toes to avoid.
So easily done. So easily done. Warren here with Humphrey right behind him. Sorry, Smith right behind him. Trying to get back past the AM leader. Probably a little bit closer than Warren wants him to be right now. Having come all the way from the back, I'm guessing he'd want a smooth sailing. McMahon under pressure. Andra trying round the outside of him, coming out of the boot. He's got the inside for the rejoin to the main track. Up the inside he goes. McMahon looked content to just let him have that there. I think he's happy with a 3rd, although he's fighting back again.
Yeah, will there be any changes between those 2? Where is McMahon? Well, here we are anyway. Anja coming to the line. He's going to take the first race victory of the season. McMahon, can he get him on the line? No, he can't. Anja gets 2nd, and it's Tom McMahon in 3rd position. In the end, Satellite Racing do get a 1-2 after locking the first 3 places out on the grid. And it wasn't easy for them. It very nearly came to an end a few times, but it was a 1-2 after all. Warren still trying to hold off Smith. He's going to win the AM race either way, Warren, as long as he does get across the line within the next 10 seconds or so. He's got 12 seconds back to Bob Humphrey. Brandon Warren rounds the final corner, and this isn't going to be enough. 2/100ths of a second across the line. Warren just about gets it ahead of Paul Smith.
What a drive from Warren there, as we said, right from the back to take the AM win there. Smith giving it everything on the last couple of corners to try and take that position. Humphrey now, Wilkins coming around the last corner there to take 3rd in the AM category. Nice podium to start the season off with Tressida and Stevens just behind him.
Yeah, nice recovery from those guys after early issues, mad starts, and then after that it was a really good race. Last driver on the lead lap will be, loads of drivers are on the lead lap. So I think Christoph Adriana, he's going to be on the lead lap. So 25 cars. Kevin Kittelman missed out, but that was pretty much about it. Also, Jonathan Kearns, John Gordon, and Taj Edwards didn't finish the race and will not score points. You need to complete. You can be one lap down to score points, but you've got to be on the lead lap to be on the podium, so to be eligible for the reverse grid. So that's will be everyone across the line, and we can go through the final results for the first race of the season. Henrik Andre wins by 2.6 seconds. It was a lot closer than that, though, for the race, ahead of Syanja, who just got ahead of Tom McMahon right at the end. Juad Karoni finished in 4th place after an early spin. Nick Rowland in 5th. There's Aaron Powell after an extra pit stop. That's remarkable. They still managed to finish 6th place, despite that splash and dash. Jeffrey Garzotto, despite a crash, finished in 7th place. Thiago Loureiro was just behind him in 8th. There's Dennis Eipenberg and Brandon Warren, top of the Amjaz, and elevated himself 20 positions. Then it was Paul Smith, Bob Humphrey, Damian Harris, Derek Holland, Jesse Payne Wilkins, John Tressida, Tom Stevens, Stephen Brumfield, Joe Saul, Kev Copeland, Russell Davis, James Salt, Paolo Prieto, Rob Winter, Christoph Adriano, and then 1 lap down was Kevin Kittelman, Jonathan Kearns, John Gordon was 5 laps down, and Taj Edwards was 9 laps down. So we will have the reverse grid wheel, I think, Sam. It's a fantastic point in the show. I don't get to do these too often. I think it's just Year of the Eights, and even that, which I did yesterday, where it was an enduro. So I don't think I've had one of these for about 2 weeks. It's shocking, but very excited for it.
The wheel should be on your screen right now. Let's see who does get the first reverse pole of the season. And it will be -8.
-8. I didn't even realize that was an option, but there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think Tom Stevens will be on pole position. I will double check that when I'm doing the grid. But it should be Tom Stevens, who finished in 17th place in that race one. He'll be on pole. John Tressida alongside him on the front row of the grid. Race 1 was exciting. That was 25 minutes. We've got a 40-minute race coming up for you in the Apex Racing League GT Championship. Stick with us for the next 10 minutes for race 2 of the evening.
what amazing.
To the inside goes Logan Cloudman is going to touch in. Pit press.
saved it.
What a save.
Look to the outside, and Cronkite goes off. De Jong into second place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
I trying, there's contact though.
Wide left of the racetrack. Chris Benner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe. Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact.
He's going to try and make the move around the outside the parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cut back here. Get the run out the parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Michael Schumacher, there's a little bit of door banging as well.
Welcome back to the Apex Racing League GT Championship. We are prepping for race 2 of meeting 1 at Watkins, Glen. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and back alongside me for this second race is Adam Hedgecock with Sam Kumo on the cameras. And Adam, we saw a big crash in race 1, which spoiled a lot of drivers' races. However, credit to them, they stayed resilient. Pretty much all of them, I think it was all of them, got back the faster pair. They finished on the lead lap, and many of them are now within this 15-car reverse grid. So still an opportunity for them to come back later on.
Yeah, as we alluded to, you can dust yourself down after an incident like that. It is unfortunate, they do happen from time to time, but given the format, you've always got that chance of getting a great result in the second race, and especially in the longer format. Yeah, unfortunate, but don't beat yourself up about it. You've still got a chance.
Absolutely. So, like I said, I don't think it was 15 cars. I think it was something like 17 cars, minus 8, basically. And so we'll be able to go through the grid in just a moment because the practice session is complete. 40 minutes this race. No pit stop needed for the drivers, and many drivers are confused. 40 minutes? But surely we will need a mandatory pit stop. But no, you can go to the finish. No pit stop needed, so it should be a proper lights to flag race. So on pole position then for this race 2 of the season is Tom Stevens. In second place is John Tressida. Then it's Jesse Payne Wilkins, Derek Holland, Damian Harris, Bob Humphrey, Paul Smith, Brandon Warren, Dennis Eichenberg, and Tiago Loureiro, who was very quick in race 1, by the way. Jeffrey Garzotto starts in 11th. There's Aaron Powell, Nick Rowland, Jiwad Karoni, who of course took the race 1 pole, Tom McMahon, Sai Anja, and Enric Andre, who was top of the who won race 1. So it was a 17-car reverse grid. Then the drivers who just missed out were Stephen Brumfield, Joe Saul, Kev Copeland, Russ Davis, James Saltz, Paolo Prieto, and Rob Winter, and I believe then Kevin Kittleman, John Gordon, and Taj Edwards did not finish that race 1. We were hoping that Craig Jones would join us for this race. Unfortunately, hasn't quite been able to make it. Hopefully, he's listening along on the stream. And if you got any picks for who's going to win this second race of the season, let us know. Let us know who you think is going to have the edge on one another. As once again, the Mustang pace car pulls away. Best pace car on the game, obviously. And I did spend a few moments just making sure that was the correct one. But I mean, Stevens from the pole position, how do you assess his chances? Of course, an Evo SR, a B team driver who I think are in association with Evo SR, who were very strong in race 1. You've raced against Stevens a little bit, admittedly in a different class. How do you think he's going to cope with this start?
Well, he knows how these reverse grids work. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with this, we do have AM drivers at the front of the grid now, which means that the pro drivers, essentially the quicker drivers, are going to have to try and fight their way through the pack. And it's down to those AM drivers to decide, what fight are they going to do? How much time are they going to submit to them? Ideally, they want to keep themselves clean and go for those AM results, but there's a fight there to be had for everyone. Stevens looked good. Tressida, another name I'm familiar with, solid driver, definitely in with a chance, starting P2. And then, of course, in 4th and 5th, Holland and Harris, the front runners of the pros. If they can get to the front early, maybe they can drive away.
Yeah, could certainly be a good shout. Jack TW1, by the way, who asked me earlier on how much streaming have you done today? Well, I think I did about 6 hours for SRW Enduro. Along with 2 streams yesterday evening, and then stream Friday morning, stream on Wednesday evening. Wouldn't have it any other way, though, of course. Yeah, about 8 hours after this one.
Something glutton for punishment.
Yes. Well, yeah, probably. I'll live with it. Yeah, these are guys just doing this pace car. He also asked, Powell or Roland will be in with a shout, which is a decent call. Yeah, Powell starting in 12th place and Roland in 13th. It's difficult to call how quick Nick Rowland will be. He wasn't particularly impressive necessarily in qualifying, but in the race he was much more impressive. Wasn't quite as fast as his teammates, but don't rule him out. Of course, 40 minutes this second race of the evening. Plenty of time for these drivers to make their way up through the order. And will be very important for the points, of course. Remember, if you get 10 instants, you get a few penalty points. Drivers will want to keep it on circuit. However, I'm sure they are thinking 98% about the position that they finished. Tom Stevenson on pole position, top of the AM drivers, top of the pro drivers, of course. Derek Holland starting in 4th. Can he get himself up to the front and really pull away from the rest of the field? We saw in race 1, the leaders only pull away at the green flag. It did cause some issues. When will Tom Stevens decide to put his foot down? The Mustang pace car is into the pits, and Stevens lets it go on the green flag. And straight away, a brilliant start for one of the Evo SR drivers. He's storming through the middle. Bob Humphrey with a stunner of a start. He's already up into 2nd position. Round the outside he goes. And Humphrey, that is just the start he needed from 5th on the grid. Not a good start for Chessida, down a couple of places. Holland down a couple of places as well. Caroni already getting a good start, and so too Anja.
Much cleaner than the race 1 there. We see them all filtering through the S's now. Everyone jostling for position, but it's so much cleaner, side-by-side action. This is what we want to see at Watkins. Everyone in contention coming into the bus stop for the first time, with Stevens starting to pull away.
Really late on the brakes were a couple of jazz, a couple of off jazz. Eipenberg falling off the circuit, I think having to go across, and also Warren as well, hard into the wall. A couple of jazz going off at the carousel as well. And I think Lorero was one of them. Andre involved in that, and also Garzotto. So poor couple of corners for the for the satellite racing team.
Looks like Winter and McMahon are having issues as well, which is a shame for them. It's commentator's curse, isn't it? The moment I say they're going well, something happens. It is a shame. But yeah, Stevens, Humphrey, and Payne Wilkins pulling away nicely, doing what they need to do, and Harris now leading in the pro category, of course, up in 4th place.
Yeah, it was a nice job from Harris, but Humphrey, I mean, after winning, I think, the penultimate race of the season at Daytona last season in the American GT Championship, not particularly happy as one of the gold racing drivers. I think, or maybe it was Joseph Saul who was just flashing his lights. Oh, massive slide for the Evo SR car, and that is Lorero with a really poor first lap. He already had an off after a decent getaway.
Almost collected poor old Jeffrey Gazzotto there as well. Tiago, after going off, didn't hold his brakes and looked like he was going to roll out onto the track, but stopped it just in time.
Paul Smith under pressure from Caroni, who's up 6 places already. He's a man on a mission, is the pole sitter from race 1. Can't get past at the moment. And of course, Smith, he's in the same Discord. I have seen, the driver ahead of them just going off. That's Derek Collins. And now contact. Smith spinning round. Fortunately, he's gone off the circuit rather than back onto the circuit. But you will feel so frustrated with that. He tried to take evasive action from the Porsche. He just seemed to understeer into his rival slightly. It was Derek Holland who made the mistake and had a slow down to serve as well. Still has served it, I think. And now going back up to speed.
The very happy-looking Derek Holland, and it must be anything but at the moment. He's had a torrid start, falling back now. A little bit of contact there with Caroni, as we saw. Yeah, very unfortunate. Looks like he's fighting the car pretty hard. Perhaps not doing what he wants it to do.
Seems as though Winter and McMahon didn't take the start. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Didn't disconnect, manually disconnected from the session. So not quite sure what has happened to those two drivers. Great shame for McMahon, who managed to get a podium, of course, in race 1. And suffered a bit last season after a great start to the championship. All very wide for Holland. He's in the wall. And that's going to be massive steering damage. And he just has passed the pits as well. So he's going to have to do a whole lap now. But that steering doesn't look too bad. He might be able to continue.
Yeah, it's been a torrid couple of laps for him. One thing I can say from driving the Porsche, although the steering's straight, when you get on the brakes, if there is an issue, it will snap on you. He has to be so careful now. I'm sure we'll see him come through the pits next time by. By the way, we saw Warren just go through the pits as well to repair some damage, I'm assuming. But he's back on track now and circulating once again down in 25th place.
He had a big crash, I think, at this bus stop on the opening lap, involved in a few other drivers as well, such as Lavera, I think, was involved in that one, and Andre as well. Those two drivers getting away from it slightly better than what Warren did. He's now a lap down, in fact, so it's going to be a tricky race for him with all those other drivers making their way past. He can still score points, though, even if he does finish one lap down. So that's in the lead. Tom Stevens, 6/10 of a second ahead of Bob Humphrey, 2.5 seconds further back to Jesse Payne-Wilkins. And then it's Damien Harris. Jawad Karoni, he's got past Aaron Powell as well, I think, off camera. He's making no prisoners, is Karoni. Powell in 6th, then it's Chester Eipenberg. Andrew up into 9th now, and Nick Rowland rounding out the top 10. Jordan Gordon up 15 places as the amateur driver from 26th on the grid.
Sterling start from Gordon, absolutely. Stevens and Humphrey absolutely cruising away at the moment. I'd imagine they're both hoping that Payne Wilkins can just hold up the pros a little bit, just keep them at bay, let them have a bit of breathing space. But yeah, Karoni fastest lap of the race so far by quite some way. Yeah, he's got the bit between his teeth, and he wants to get back up the front again as soon as possible.
Eipenberg, I think, just making up a move. He's now side by side with Tressida as they head up the hill 2 by 2 with a couple more behind. That doesn't look like it can end well, but it has done. Well, it hasn't ended yet, I should say. Syandra trying to get past as well through the middle of these drivers. Down the inside goes Andra. Does he close the line? I think, did that other driver have to cut the course? Andra's now had to cut the course, and that's going to be a slowdown for him, which is tricky to do this carousel.
I tip my hat to all 5 of them there. Somehow they managed to get through. They sort themselves out, and they're all still going.
Oh, cutting the corner is Chester. He got a tap from the Gold Racing driver, and credit to Chester, keeps it right to the side of the circuit. Gives up 4 places, though, just in that one go. Stephen Brumfield, he just set the fastest lap of the race, by the way. He's on a charge. Here he goes. He's going past John Gordon now for 9th position, trying to follow through Syandra. Brumfield on the inside on his BMW compatriot. However, we saw in race 1 in the battle for 2nd place on the last lap between McMahon and Syandra, I believe it was. That outside line through the heel can work really well, and it's works pretty well right there as well for Gordon. He stays ahead of Brumfield for now.
Yeah, solid battling between the two of them. Doesn't look like either of them want to give it up too soon. Interestingly, Payne Wilkins has fallen behind Harris, Karoni and Powell now. So the pros will be trying to cut into that lead of Stevens and Humphrey as soon as possible. So we see Brumfield having another look on the inside of turn 1. He's got the inside for the S's. You don't really want to be going side by side through the S's here. You hope that the guy you're racing with is going to give you room. And you just try and hang up around the outside. Both manage to get through there as they head towards the bus stop now.
That's good racing from the two of them. I mean, it's continuing on now. Rowland on the inside, and he keeps the position. Boy, smart from Brumfield to give that one up. Rowland was picked earlier on to win the race. I doubt that's going to happen, but he's certainly showing his good speed. These two very much out of position. Could get a top 5 by the end of this race. Brumfield goes to the inside, goes for the dummy. He was so tight on the corner, though. Good defence from Rowland. He did leave the car's width on the inside, and now a bit of a contact. I think that's just Rowland struggling to get out to the corner with any acceleration. And they're losing time to the cars ahead. I say that, to be fair. They're only 1.2 seconds behind the next car, so it's not too bad for them. Brumfield to the outside again.
I'll tell you what, he's really chomping at the bit behind him, isn't he? He wants that place back. He's not content with just sitting behind. Makes me wonder how far he's willing to go. They are losing time to the guys in front just a little. The more they battle, the further behind they'll fall. Maybe he's just sat in behind now. I think he's realised that they're starting to lose time, and he's just going to sit behind for now and see how they go.
James Salt's catching up to these guys. Remember, Salt was outside the reverse grid range. Former finished second. He won, of course, the GT3, GTE Amateur. Got there eventually. He won the GTE Amateur Championship in the American GT Championship last season. So he is very good in this car. Surprising that he's lacked a bit of pace. I kind of got used to him being the number 2 man behind McMahon within that team, but such is the pace of his teammates, who've fallen down a little bit in that pecking order. Good driving from, or good defensive driving, or good avoidance driving from Brumfield to back out of that one. Now, is he letting him pass? What's going on with Roland?
Yeah, Roland's got to slow down there. He took to the grass on the exit of the bus stop. Just had to concede 2 places, but we've already seen that he's got good pace. He'll be back up and running very soon. Andre just behind him as well. Obviously wants to catch up with the guys in front, try and get that toe, help his teammate get back forward again.
Andre hasn't made as much progress as we'd expect him to make, but he's still 13th place. He's up 4 places from his start after a bit of a collision, I believe, on the opening lap. Has got past James Salt. There's so many quality drivers up and down the field. I mean, the fact that James Scott is in the second half of the field, it seems, on pace today, kind of shows how quick everyone is. So it's not easy to make up your way. Chesed thought he may be making contact with Edwards, but he didn't. So many battles going on further down the order. I mean, it's getting pretty close for the lead as well, but we've been paying a lot of attention to these guys. Hopefully you're enjoying the broadcast if you're watching along. And of course, remember, 8 rounds of this championship coming up, so plenty more action. If you feel like taking part in the action, find the sign up link on our Facebook page and on the forums. And if you're part of the Apex Racing League Discord as well, you can also sign up to it right there. Fastest up of the race that last time around by Cyanja. I don't think that was even in clear air either. So Anja finally, I say finally, I mean he's been fast throughout, but really showing his potential now, and he's only about 5 seconds off the lead as well. Mega close are the race leaders. Stevens still leading. Caroni's got up into second place, so he's got past both of the Evo SR guys. And Caroni, definitely the favourite for the race win now. That was a massive move on Aaron Powell, who I think isn't much slower than Caroni. It'd be great to get a replay of how he managed to get past, although at the same time live pictures are quite important because I don't think it's going to take him long to take the lead.
Yeah, he's certainly charging through, isn't he? And it's not surprising when you see the Satellite Racing and Evo SR cars get back towards the front so quickly. You know, they're really showing their pace. And they're racing prowess. It's not easy driving through a pack of I don't want to say slower cars because that's a bit derogatory, but you know, the amateurs who aren't quite as fast as these pros. You know, you do have to have a bit of knowledge of how to get through traffic pretty quickly, and he's, you know, Caroni and Powell have shown it well here.
Stevens was comfortable going into turn 1. This is where the best chance is going to be for Caroni, though. Also, just behind them is Damien Harris, who's 2.7 seconds behind, trying to keep up with these guys. Powell really wants to get back past Caroni, I think. Will Stevens go defensive? How do you go defensive into this corner? He goes to the inside, Caroni to the outside. Can the Ferrari make the move? Side by sides. Oh, it's a glorious move from Giwad Caroni to move into the lead of this race. And dropping a few positions is Tom Stevens. He's going to lose that one to Bob Humphrey. The defence was great for a while for the lead. It lasted for a long time, but eventually he's had to relinquish it.
Yeah, definitely a great move there from Caroni. And I think you know, he asked the question there, didn't he? He wasn't too aggressive. He just put the car on the apex and said, right, where are you going to go from here? And it got the job done. Threw into first, and Powell right behind him now. See if he can shake him off.
I think Powell should have the pace to keep up. Whether or not he'll have the pace to overtake later on is probably another matter. But he was very competitive, of course, in race 1. He's just about staying within that draft range, about 6.5 tenths of a second. You want to be as close as you possibly can coming out of the final corner, because then the next kind of half the lap is just slipstreaming wide for Humphrey as well. It'd still be a double podium, and like I said, the B team are part of Evo SR as well, I believe. So kind of a 2-3-4. It's like an Alpha Tauri in fourth place, if you will.
Yeah, they're certainly doing well, our Humphrey and Stevens. Harris did take a lot of time out of them that last time round, a 44.7 compared to the 47.4, I think it was. So he's hot on the hills, towing Andrew along with him nicely. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see how Humphrey and Stevens play this. They've got quite a gap over Payne Wilkins, as we see Harris going to the outside there. Andrew going to the outside of Harris. Don't know whether Harris is struggling. He just looked a little bit slow going through there. But Andrew with another position, up to 5th overall and 3rd for the pros.
I think that was just very sensible driving on that occasion from Damien Harris, realising that he's a bit slower than Andrew. Could have both walked him off for a couple of laps, to be fair, but I think realised that it was going to happen eventually. Derek Holland back in the action, down in 16th place, or is he lower than that? He's down to 20th place now, as a few more drivers just make their way through. He's lost 4 places on this lap, as Holland, the driver who started on the second row of the grid, new driver to the series as well. But so yeah, being, I mean, to be fair, Lorera and Garzotto, 2 pro drivers, I mean, well out of position. There are so many drivers out of position in this race, so it's no shame being overtaken by those guys. Has spread out on the most part in this second half of the field. Earlier on, we had kind of 2 massive trains of cars, but few gaps forming. No doubt they will be closed back up by the end of the race. Nice battle forming now behind Jesse Payne Wilkins, who has got Eipenberg and Brumfield and Gordon all sitting right behind him at the moment. And Wilkins, I think, went to the inside there, and it's going to lose out that place to Eipenberg and Brumfield. And now Gordon as well, I think.
Turn 1 is such a hard place to defend. You know, you go to the inside to cover it off, but if you go too shallow like he did there, you lose all the momentum coming out of the turn and up the hill. And as we said before, it's so key to get a good run out of there, to get the speed all the way up to the bus stop. But you see Brumfield going side by side with Eipenberg now. And he just bounces the curb, but he keeps the position, heading down into the carousel.
Yeah, so 7th place now for Stephen Brumfield. I was complimenting his pace. He had the fastest lap of the race at one point. So he has got a lot of pace in that BMW, clearly. A lot of BMWs out here. It is the best GTE car. I don't think there's any kidding that. At the moment, hopefully there'll be a bit of a change with the BOP coming up in the near future. And of course, potentially the new hopefully the new damage model, but mainly new tyre model as well, could mix up the order. Nick Rowland trying to get past, just slithering his car down the inside, and now running wide was Wilkins, and he does give that place up to Rowland and Andre as well. He's up into 11th place now.
Well, I'm quite surprised with the pace of Andre. He looked stellar in race 1, but he seems to be stalling a little bit with this pack. As we keep saying, the tow's such a big thing. You know, if you're trying to overtake a car in front of you and that's got tow as well, you're going to struggle. You see he's tucked up behind Rowland here. Not sure he's going to have a look into turn 1. No, he just sits behind, going to try and get a good run out of the corner, hit the apex, not running too wide. And this is the awkward part. If you catch them too soon, you'll be tucked up behind them coming out of the S's, and you won't get a good slingshot. See, now he's just feathering just a little bit. Can he move to the inside? Not sure that Rowland's going to defend it too hard. Andre sending it, and there he goes through into the inside of the bus stop, and out to the carousel in the lead. I'm not sure whether that was choreographed between the two, whether he called it, but certainly a good move nonetheless.
Prieto being shoved out of the way for a bit. Bad for Prieto there, because the driver who got past him the second time there, which was Lorera, he very much just followed through Joseph Saul. There was very little Prieto could do in order to defend. Just coming into the pits was James Salt. Oh dear, I think Salt's actually retired from the event. Great shame that. He was running decent in the top 15, but clearly some issues for him. Don't think he had a crash or anything. Garzotto next up on Apologies. Sorry, this is Gazotto defending from Greatso. And he pulls away quite nicely now with that bit of a gap.
Yeah, some solid defending there. Got the run as well, which is nice. Joseph Soul, another one who's not doing too badly getting through the traffic. Working with Ligero behind him. As we said, you know, the guys from the same stable, the B team and Evo SR, trying to help each other get up the pack a bit quicker. They've got a bit of a gap in front of them now, but shouldn't be too long before they pull up to the back of Edwards. You've got to feel.
Luriero will try to get past going into turn 1, you'd assume. And that was quite simple for him. Has lost them a little bit of time though. Just compromises your run, and as you were saying right at the top of the show, of course, that turn 1's so important in terms of your run down to the next chicane. And now the Gold Racing team Porsche of Gazotto is back onto these guys. So they're going to need a couple of good laps in order to break that draft games. Gazotto ever so impressive in race 1. It's unfortunate they had that crash right at the end, which damaged his car. Still a good top 10. But looking to repeat that success. Remarkably, I mean, this is a curse if there ever has been one. But who's that going slowly, in fact?
That's Warren. I think he just got off the track to let these guys through. He's right down at the moment, although he's just been swiped by the looks of it. Is that Holland who just made some contact with him, I think?
Holland just, I think, outbig himself when going for the move.
He's really struggling this race, isn't he, Holland? It's such a shame. It's almost like it's snowballed, you know. Oh, and who's that? Kittleman off and into the wall.
He was just behind Holland. And teammate with Holland. Has he got much steering damage from the outside? That doesn't look too bad. From the inside, it doesn't look too bad. So I guess the conclusion from this investigation is that's not too bad for Kevin Kissman. He'll be able to continue on in this race. Should be able to get to the end all right. So Andre is next up for him. John Gordon, who's really impressed today as John Gordon in loads of places in race 1. I think then proceed. Well, actually, no, I can't remember what happened to him in race 1. Actually, I think he had a good qualifying and was running decent, but then he must have finished 26th in race 1. Can't remember why he retired from the race or finished so far down. But he's having a very good race too, basically. 17 places gained for him. Off track for Luriero and Saul. They're having issues at the bus stop. Uh-oh.
I'm wondering if it gets a little bit pinchy going into the first corner.
Oh, it was the car behind as well, the Porsche of Gazotto, I think, who made the contact.
3 into 1 definitely doesn't go into the bus stop. Rarely does 2 into 1 go well into the bus stop. But they're all got going again. They're all still turning the laps, so that's the important thing. You know, with these 40-minute races, there will be issues, there will be problems. As long as you can keep the car pointing in the right direction and circulating, you're still in with a chance of getting some good points.
Definitely. Of course, range of penalties that can be given to the drivers. You can get I think it's a 5-point penalty, a 12-point penalty, or you can get a 12-point penalty plus pit lane start for the next round of the championship, where you can't take part in qualifying. You have to start from the pits. Very common penalty in the ARLTC. Sometimes it's an advantage because you miss a big wreck like we saw in race 1, and you come out of the pits and you're like, oh, hang on, I'm in 12th place here, pretty nice. But usually it is a penalty. Andre, now the 2 Gold Racing drivers, well, if they just drive side by side, I don't think there's any chance for Andre to ever get past. I remember when that happened, when we first had the BMWs on the service, we had 2 teammates who literally just drove the last lap around into Lagos side by side. Oh no, Eipenberg into the wall. Not sure whose fault that was. Oh, and now there's extra contact as well. Oh no.
Oh,
all
when it
the
rain,
gold
it
racing
pours.
drivers and all the B team drivers getting involved in that. And they're still making contact.
See the cars coming round just to ease up. Get on the brakes, boys. Get on the brakes. There's an issue on the track. Just slow it down. Get yourself through. Yeah, I'm not sure how that all started. I think the two of them wanted the same piece of tarmac, and it's just one of those. When you're both trying to take that one line, it's going to cause an accident.
Couple of the drivers who starts it, who got through the first time. That was, but there's no Winter Olympics this year. It's the I say the proper Olympics, the Summer Olympics. But honestly, they could win the ski slalom gold medal for some of that dodging through that. By the way, Jack TW1 asking, how do you get all the names correct? We don't, is the answer to that one. Google Translate to get the accent? Nah, we'd much rather fence their home nation. So apologies to that for all the drivers. Going very slowly. Is that Kev Copeland?
It is very. Oh, he's crabbing something chronic there. You see the car just angled slightly. It's not going straight. I don't know whether he caught the wall or a little bit of suspension damage. One of the two.
I think he was involved in that instant at the boots going through the chute, because there were two B team drivers and two gold racing drivers, I think, involved.
Ah, yes, you're correct. Who's that? Someone's missed their pit box. They're reversing back up.
There are rules against that. Joe Saul, but he hasn't got disqualified, it seems.
Well, I think if you do it slow enough and it's a short distance, you can just about get away with it. As we see Nick Rowland having a look on the inside, going into the right-hander there. This is always an awkward one, this left-hander. If you're defending the tight inside line, the rear of the car gets so light. You really don't want to take a tight line through there. But he's got away with it at that point, and he's taken the place. And yeah, good move there. John Gordon, I hope he can ping to the back of him now and maybe make a move into the bus stop.
45.37 that last lap for John Gordon, so it's a little bit slow. This time round he does a 45.88, so he's struggling. I think he's just being overtaken by a couple of cars, to be fair, hence why he's struggling a bit. Don't think we paid any attention to the front runners for ages. So Jawad Karoni leading the way by 3 seconds. To be fair, for Jawad, I think I did Google how to pronounce his name, even though it is quite simple. I mean, as someone who follows tennis, Novak Djokovic, of course, it's very much the same sounds at the start of that. He's now going to PM me after this and say that I've still got it wrong, but I feel like I've got it more right than if I hadn't have researched it. So Jawad Karoni in the lead. Aaron Powell in second, 3 seconds behind. Then it's Syandra further second back. Then Stephen Brumfield up into fourth now. I think we may have missed him passing Bob Humphrey, but he's in fourth place, up 14 places. Brumfield, a driver who we're not familiar with, he's absolutely storming out there today. I think that'll be as high up as he gets. But Bob Humphrey in fifth. Then it's Damien Harris, Tom Stevens, the pole sitter, in seventh. Then it's Enric Andre still making his way up, and then it's Nick Rowland and John Gordon rounding out the top 10. Then a big old gap to Loureiro and Garzotto in 11th and 12th. Those two making their way up through the field as a bit of a pair. They are doing very nicely together. But this could get pretty good. We've got everyone from Brumfield to Gordon separated by 5 seconds, and there's a differing pace among these guys. I think Brumfield might be able to pull away, but I think everyone else could be in a very tight battle, and we are going to see a tight battle between Stevens and Andre here. Andre goes to the outside. Seems as though these satellite racing guys are really good coming out of that turn one. He gets to the inside. He needs to hang round the outside through this S's section. I think he's got it covered already. Doesn't even have to get it done at the chicane. Stevens now got to be careful that he doesn't get overtaken by Rowland straight after.
I think he done the right thing there, Stevens. Looked like he just eased off just a little bit, just feathered the throttle. And yet there goes... you know what? I saw the bump there. Is he getting loose? He is getting loose. Well,
and that's
Nick
going to be a
Rowland's
slowdown. Will be a slowdown, I think, for him.
It will be. He's doing the right thing, though, holding the inside. if he's cute about it, he's managed to stay ahead. That's quality driving there from Roland. Got the move done a little bit. I want to say controversially, using
Forcefully, I'd say.
but using all of the track plus a little bit more. But he's managed to keep his car in front now, and yeah, we're going to see if Stevens and Gordon can stick with him. Can I just a shout out to Humphrey doing a stellar job, 5th position, putting in the laps, doing an amazing job for the top am at the moment. Yeah, he's looking absolutely solid.
Yeah, the next AM driver is John Gordon, who, to be fair, isn't that far behind us, Gordon, and he started a long way behind it, Gordon. But that's you're absolutely right, Humphrey. He's certainly improved as a all the Evo SR drivers. I think when we saw the Evo SR junior team in the American GT, I think I kind of assumed these guys how competitive are they actually going to be, seeing that they are the B team. But I mean, the B team is, dare I say, as good as the A team, and so they're all really competitive drivers, and they've been a fantastic addition to the series. John Gordon, there he is, trying to chase down Tom Stevens.
I think you're right. When you see the teams, such as an Evo, or I mean, even see it in the touring cars with CQR, they have a junior team or B teams, but the quality of driver isn't significantly less. There's a reason they're in their junior teams. It's because they're good to start with.
Yeah. Anja, I think, is about to get past Powell, potentially. They are really close to one another. A moment ago, there was 1/10 between them. And Anja knows how to get past... Who won race 1? But I really ought to know that. It wasn't Anja, it was Andre, of course.
It was
Andre who won. So, but Anja did get past McMahon on the last lap around this part of the circuit. So he knows how to get past Evo SR cars around this end part of the track. Really serene for the race leader, Jawad Karoni. And now Jack TW1 is saying, oh, I haven't even got it right. I mean, don't confuse me. Apparently it's Jihad instead. But I don't know. Yeah, honestly, I'm from Norfolk, and Adam, you can vouch me for this one. We've never said a name correct. We can't even say our own names correct. So I shouldn't be doing this job, honestly. Anja's 2/10 behind. You might be right earlier on about how a little bit too close to this part. I think he's actually got a nice slingshot. Now the overspeed is the straight long enough for him to get ahead, and with the momentum might be able to make this a 1-2 for his team. Diving down the inside, contact between the two of them. There's contact again, and they're both round. Anja and Powell.
Again, such a shame when you see that. You just want to kind of say to them, you've still got 8 minutes of the race left. You don't have to get it done now. Such a shame. Andrew was on such a good run with Powell there. Both got it going again and both pointing in the same direction. I don't think it'll be too long before we see them back together again, though.
Well, there's a decent gap. Apologies, it's a decent gap. I'm not quite sure. I think my timing screen is playing up. Taj Edwards seemingly out of the race. He's very stationary at the moment. This is what happened to him. He's going to run wide, I assume. Oh no, it's a steering wheel failure. Straight into the wall. So, an abnormal amount of lock for that corner.
Do a number on your wrists, that one, wouldn't it? Blimey.
Yeah, hopefully he hasn't got a direct drive wheel. Have you invested in a direct drive wheel yet?
Oh, I wish I could. No, I'm on a T300 RS, but that's certainly good enough for my level of racing. To be honest, I think a direct drive would be wasted on me. I really would.
I mean, I'm still on a G29, so I guess that's... Yeah, into the pits is Brumfield. Oh, no. Why is he... I don't know. The amount of questionable pit stops from these drivers has made up for the entire season. We don't know why these guys are coming into the pits. Maybe he underfueled. Maybe he thought there was a pit stop. Lots of drivers seemingly did think that. But there is no pit stop. So hopefully Brumfield got the message. But it's dropped him way down. And that is... disappointing for one of the fastest drivers out here today. He's taken 7.5 seconds stationary and he's come back out in 12th place. Could gain... he's only got Lorero and Garzotto ahead of him, and they're really rattling along at the moment, so I have to imagine he's going to finish in that position. Roland, I think, just gets him past Harris. Great job from Damien Harris, by the way, still up in 7th place. And now Roland straight onto the back of Bob Humphrey.
Yeah, it looked like Harris took the sensible option there, as like we saw him do earlier. Just ease off going into the bus stop and letting Roland through there. Humphrey again looking solid, but you do wonder how long it's going to be before Roland and maybe Harris get past him. But yeah, solid drive once again.
Roland was 1.7 seconds faster on that last lap. Probably just an inevitability. How long do we have? 5 minutes to go. And the race is just crossing the line, so once again, going to do some complex maths. I can't even be bothered to do complex maths. I've been doing commentary for far too long today, so my brain has stopped working. But Humphrey, his brain cannot stop working right now because Roland is past him, and no defence put up by Humphrey. He's been very mature so far today. Finished in... Well, he started this race in 6th. So I think he finished in 11th place in race 1. 6th place potentially coming his way in race 2. That would be a nice points haul for him. Especially as a AM driver, because he is leading the AM standings at the moment.
I like that he's still got a playful side to him, even though he's right up there. Just asking the question to Roland, just show him to the inside, give him something to think about. Sometimes you can force drivers into mistakes just by showing yourself, just by not weaving, but just by pulling out of the draft. But Roland wise to it, and yeah, no dice for Humphrey.
Maybe Humphrey just saying, well, I'm going to let you go, but I could have overtaken. But I decided to let you go to have a better chance at catching up to the car ahead. For Roland, that is Andre. I don't think there's necessarily going to be a whole lot of... I don't think he's going to yield that position necessarily. Then it's Anja. So pretty much all the fast guys are at the front now. So 40-minute race, it's just about enough time for the front guys to get to the front, the fast guys to get to the front. Caroni then leading, Pal second, Anja third, Andre fourth, and then Roland fifth. And it's Humphrey. Then of course Humphrey top of the AM drivers, and it mixes up a little bit more. Humphrey, Harris, Gordon. Oh dear. 3.5 seconds further back. Stevens and Lorero rounding out the top 10. Lorero and Garzotto, absolutely, they must be best friends at this point. They've spent the entire race with one another. Just, moving along, mid-44s, happy times. But unfortunately, they're too far behind the next car to really do anything.
Well, I think at this time of the race, only 2 minutes and some change left. You just want to consolidate now. You've done all the hard work. You haven't got a chance of catching the guys in front. So, just do what you can, bring the car home, and get those points. Again, it's good to see Garzotto have a good run today. Yesterday he was really struggling at the Nürburgring at Nordschleife, but today he seems to have righted his wrongs, and he's had a solid night.
Just staying ahead was Lorero. I was thinking there, did you just put like a reverse curse on Garzotto as I thought he was about to move ahead? I was thinking, no commentator's ever done this before. You've like undone all the horrible work that we've done over the years. Unfortunately though, it wasn't enough for Garzotto to move ahead. To be fair, my first instinct was then, oh dear, Garzotto's now going to crash, isn't he? But fortunately he hasn't. He's still going absolutely fine in that 11th place. Only 2 close battles. Of course, you can check out the live timing. It's a bit redundant now because we haven't got much longer in the race to go. But certainly for future broadcasts on Apex Racing TV, whenever we've got a broadcast, just click on the description. Then you can click on the link to the live timing and you can watch all the action and see the intervals between the drivers, the best lap time, their last lap time, their pit stops, the amount of time that they have pitted. So it's very useful And currently only 2 red patches on our live time screen, which indicates a close battle. However, yellow usually indicates a not so close battle, and there's no yellow. So it's all reds or all nothing. And this is why, because there are nose to tail in the couple of battles we do have. Bob Humphrey defending against Damien Harris. Harris just backs out a bit, didn't quite have enough overspeed. Both of these guys, this result would be a win for both of them, I think. So I really pray that they don't make contact. Here's Garzotto. Come on, mate. You're best friends with one another now. Don't take each other out. And Garzotto cannot get past for now.
Yeah, good defence from Humphrey back then, keeping Harris behind him. Harris, incidentally, found a random car in the car park and decided to drive that for this race. Not necessarily what he wanted to do, but doing a great job in it nonetheless.
I've just remembered that.
Yeah.
Honestly, the conversation I was having with Damien earlier on for all our viewers, he wanted to drive the BMW, and he said to me, "I can't pick the BMW." And I'm saying, "Oh, have you signed up to this race?" "Yeah, I accidentally did it in the Ferrari." Well, unfortunately, I can't really do too much from that situation. Hence why he's got that livery, the Patronus livery, which looks all right. Flashback to maybe 2012 Mercedes, 2013 Mercedes, something like that. Harris has got a very nice run on Humphrey this time, and this might be his opportunity. Not sure how quick that setup's going to be on the Ferrari, but usually the Ferrari has got good straight line speed, and he's got a nice cutback. Is he too close though to his rival? No, he's really struggling with straight line speed, it seems, Harris. I think he's just got the wrong setup on that car, probably a default setup or setup for a more high downforce circuit, because he's not gaining in the slipstream. There are opportunities though through the boot, through the corners section, where you can get past though, so not all hope is lost. 4 minutes to go in this race. Caroni still got a bit to go. Oh, well, will this be close? No, it's not going to be close. It'll be 2 more laps to go.
Yep, we are 41
Apologies.
minutes in.
Oh my goodness, I thought it was a 45-minute race. And
It's been a long day, it's fine.
I wrote the rules. Oh. Well, it's been a great day for Gerard Caroni. He took pole position, didn't turn into a race win, didn't turn even into a podium in race 1. However, he has been dominant in this race too. Gerard Caroni rounds the final corner to take the second race victory of the season in the Apex Racing League GT Championship. Still close between Andre and Roland. Has Andre just got past Roland right at the close? It seems like he has, and he might well be joint points leader coming out of this round. He's going to get 4th position. Is there going to be any change between Humphrey and Harris? Harris has been hounding him for the entire race. Gordon's all of a sudden very close as well. Oh, well, if Gordon had one more lap, I'm sure he'll be saying he would have got the pair of them. However, it's a 8th place for him, and it's Bob Humphrey who wins in the amateur standings. Lavero will surely beat Garzotto. I think, yeah, they have crossed the line now, so that's fine. And we've also got Warren versus Payne Wilkins. I think Warren has just got past Payne Wilkins. Both of them taking pit stops, at least I'm watching this. They are laps down, but will score points for these guys, despite the fact that they are a bit behind. So Wilkins can't quite get Warren, the Satellite Racing driver, beats the Titty Totty Racing driver.
Solid performance there from Warren. He pitted early on. He was way behind in the early part of this race, but he kept his head down, and yeah, he's got a 19th place. So yeah, well done to Warren.
Definitely, and well done to most of the drivers. We did have a little bit of a mess at this corner, but it was much better than race 1, and a very entertaining race for us to watch, and hopefully an entertaining race for the drivers to be part in. The race was won though by Gerard Caroni. By 12 seconds as well, ahead of Aaron Powell. So good race, good days for both of those guys. Good day for Cyanja as well in 3rd place. That's the 2nd and 3rd. It's going to be so close in the championship now between Caroni, Anja and Andre after this round. Nick Rowland finished in 5th position. Bob Humphrey in 6th, top of the AM drivers, of course. Then it was Damien Harris and John Gordon, Tom Stevens, Thiago Loureiro rounding out the top 10. That's where he starts as well after a tricky start, I think, for Loureiro. He hit the wall actually at the last corner on the first lap and did really well to recover. Then it was Jeffrey Garzotto, Stephen Brumfield after an extra pit stop. Where could have he been? He could have been 6th place if it weren't for that. Paul Smith was in 13th. There was Derek Holland, Paolo Prieto, Kevin Kittelman, Kev Copeland, Joseph Saul, Brandon Warren, and Jesse Payne-Wilkins. Those will be the drivers who will score points. The drivers who retired from the race and won't score points are Taj Edwards, Dennis Eipenberg, John Chessida, and James Saltz. Also Russ Davis as well. McMahon and Winter didn't take the start. I'm not quite sure why that was the case. Hopefully we'll see them back though for the next round of the championship. And usually at this point we have interviews with drivers. No one's joined us. So we can talk about the next round of the championship, which I am trying to jog my memory. It's Road Atlanta for the next round of the championship. Once again coinciding with the official IMSA schedule. That's wouldn't say it's too dissimilar to this place, Adam. I mean, it's once again relatively low downforce, opportunity at some overtaking, a bit of elevation change. Should be a nice place, really fun circuit again.
It's a good place to race in GT cars, to be fair. The first part of it is very technical. You have to have a really hooked up car to get you over the top of the hill. And of course, you've got the big braking zone coming down into the final chicane. You know, as you come down the long back straight, prime overtaking position. Very easy to get it wrong, though. So, it always gives good racing. Definitely looking forward to it. Absolutely.
Definitely. And after today's meeting, would you say there's anyone who really sticks out to you as maybe a championship favourite? There are so many competitive drivers, but anyone who you think is going to be able to really sustain consistency over the next 8 rounds?
Well, I think we've seen both the Satellite and the Evo SR guys, pick any of those. They've all looked mighty today. And again, the Gold Racing guys, they've looked good. To be honest, there was a lot of solid performances out there. There's a lot of people driving pretty smart, banking points when they could. I don't know. I think it's too early to for me to pick someone individually. But I will say that we've all seen that there's a hatful of people here that are definitely going to be in with a chance come the end of the season.
Absolutely, and a few of them are going to be the drivers for Satellite Racing. I think we might just drag them all up in one go because they're all getting very good results today and all going to be pretty even in the championship. So congrats everyone for your race wins. You Satellite Racing certainly did them proud today. First up, having a chat with Jawad Karoni. I mean, congratulations, race 2 winner. And you just seemed to storm through the order in those first few laps. You were just knifing through the field.
Hello. I was lucky, I would say, because some crashes happened in front of me and I was able to avoid them. So it makes a bit easier to pass cars. And then, I just had to be on my race pace and let the race happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how did you find the overtaking out there as well? It's not necessarily the easiest circuit to overtake, and we saw quite a few issues for other drivers, but how did you find it?
Depends where you want to do it, but there is not a lot of choice. So I would say that if you take your chances for the bus stop, you need to have more balls than the overtakers. Than the one you overtake, sorry. And after there is maybe the left hander after the big parabolica. That's it. Maybe the right one, the right hander after, but there is no point to do it here except that you're losing time.
Absolutely. Well, you made it look very simple today, Jawad. And next up, Enric for that race 1 victory. It was close though. I mean, we were sure that you were going to collide with one or two of your teammates, but yet you managed to keep it clean.
Yeah, that was an interesting first race. I think I was faster than Jawad in the first 2 laps, but when I just overtook him, I think I just cooked my front tires, and then it was just trying to survive, and if I can, in front of Jawad and Sai. And I was a bit lucky because I think Jawad would have got me, but he had tiny mistakes, which put him a bit behind. And yeah, Sai wasn't able to get past by me. Yeah, I think everyone in the I think we're 4 drivers fighting for the win on the first race, and I think everyone in that pack of 4 cars had the same pace. So it was a nice race.
Definitely. And how did you find the track temperature change? Did you change anything on the setups between races 1 and 2? Because I think it increased the track temperature by about 10 or 15 degrees.
I actually changed nothing. On the second race, I had a good sensation, but yeah, I got involved in a crash in the first lap, so it was hard because like the rear my rear tires were absolutely gone on the second lap, so I had to drive a car with a lot of oversteer during the whole second race. So it was a bit hard, but at least I'm getting a nice P4 in the end, so I'm not gonna complain about that.
Absolutely, it was a fantastic P4. And finally, a word with Sai Anja. 3rd place in the end. And Sai, you didn't win a race today, but 2nd and 3rd. That's still pretty great. And you had some really good wheel-to-wheel battles with almost half the grid, it seemed.
It definitely felt like it because I felt like I was staring at the back of a satellite car all of the first race, which I think I was. And then the second race, I was just charging through the field in the back half of the race after getting caught up in some mid-pack troubles. Luckily, I was able to stay clean for the most of it, and I was kind of hoping to run down Jawad in the last couple laps there, but unfortunately I got a little bit of a tap in the bus stop. But besides that, if you can't win, you might as well be consistent.
Absolutely. And have you got much experience around this track recently? I mean, IMSA's been running around here this week. Have you been racing in the official series at all?
No.
I'm embarrassed to say I didn't do any official practice. The first laps I turned was yesterday night, and then practice today before the race. So kind of coming in here a little bit cold, but my teammates helped out a lot with the setups and kind of driving tips and stuff like that. So that's the big benefit of being on a strong team, I suppose.
Awesome. Well, congrats to all of you. I'll let one of you name give thanks to your team and your sponsors. I'm sure there's plenty of them.
Definitely Track Racer, Ellis Engineering, big white letters on the side of our car, I'm sure you can see. Thanks for James for painting the cars, and Nick and Brandon for helping us set up. They weren't in the interview, unfortunately, because of some trouble they had, but besides that, I think that covers all of it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, guys, and best of luck for Road Atlanta next week.
Thank you.
BMOP. Thank you.
So that was Gerard Caroni, Enric Andre, and Sai Anja having a chat with us. I think that's pretty much going to be all the interviews we're going to do for today. So big thanks to everyone who's tuned in for this evening's racing. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Of course, next week we'll be back for Road Atlanta for round 2 of the championship, but there's plenty of other action on Apex Racing TV coming up. Of course, tomorrow I'll be back with Marco Barbanero. I mean, I can't stand the bloke. I'll be doing World GT on that, and you can cheer on Adam as well for that. So that'll be on the iRacing Esports Network. Tune into that. That'll be round 3 of the championship in that one. Around Montreal as well. Really cool circuit. Then on Wednesday, we've got the Sim Racers World GT Championship. That will be on the iRacing Esports Network once again. And then we've got IndyCars on Friday evening. We've got Formula 3.5 on Saturday evening. And loads of other action as well. So subscribe to Apex Racing TV. Subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network. And if you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it as well. And also check out our social media platforms as well on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and Twitter. But for now, from me and from Adam and from Sam, we are going to say goodbye, and we will see you next time.